The timing couldn't be more explosive to revisit Donald Trump's tangled connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Trump now acts as if simply pretending to champion the release of Epstein-related files somehow rewrites history. That signing off on a bill after getting cornered by political reality suddenly makes him the face of transparency. But that narrative falls apart instantly. What we're watching is nothing more than an old cover-up wearing a new costume, and it's collapsing, inside government circles and out. Because today, newly unsealed court filings dropped, and the accusations tied to Trump and Epstein are more alarming than anything we've seen in years. These claims describe alleged acts involving minors that are so disturbing, so impossible to ignore, that no amount of spin, rage posting, or all-caps denial can wash them away. We're about to break down what's inside this lawsuit, what the documents say, and why the implications are so severe. But first, there's something we need to revisit. The moment Kash Patel sat across from Adam Schiff and insisted Epstein's operation had no additional high-level involvement. He delivered that line with full confidence, a claim that just got shredded by the evidence released today. And if Patel was covering for someone, the question now becomes, who was he really protecting? Because what surfaced today doesn't just challenge the official narrative, it detonates it. Let's dig in.
Follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here, you've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never
Patel?
said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And I
Senator Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking
made
you-
determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working
testimony today.
Well, you just read
that
it, and I said it 10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my
I
testimony.
just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Guifer who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, and you can say whatever you want.
Let me ask you this. When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, but did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find that. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that, that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Ms. Maxwell for
I'm
2
asking you,
days,
who are
and
the
we
ca-
released
who are
the
the cabinet
entirety
members?
of that
Who are the cabinet
transcript.
members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
Kash Patel, a guy who spent years blasting out every wild Epstein theory imaginable, suddenly slammed on the brakes the moment anything real surfaced that could actually hit Donald Trump. After months of demanding total disclosure, begging for every file and every note, His enthusiasm mysteriously evaporated the second transparency stopped being useful to Trump. And now he's clinging to a new narrative, one he keeps repeating like a script, that nobody else was involved. But the question writes itself. Why is Patel pushing that line so hard? Why does he need the public to believe this whole thing was somehow tidy, contained, and conveniently limited? Because while Patel, Pam Bondi, and Trump can drag their feet on what the DOJ releases, while they slow down whatever trickles out of the FBI, there's one thing they can't stop. Subpoenas landing on the doorsteps of the people who were allegedly part of this operation. That's why Patel is desperately urging everyone to move along. He wants eyes off the investigation. He wants the public distracted. He wants potential witnesses to feel isolated and powerless. He wants everyone to believe there's nobody out there who could testify. Nobody who could put anything on the record that touches Trump. It's ridiculous. It's such a flimsy lie that it barely qualifies as spin. And Adam Schiff cut it to pieces. And today, we're seeing exactly why Patel is panicking. Because new allegations reveal just how sprawling this trafficking network may have been. These claims surface through a massive new lawsuit accusing Donald Trump of operating a scheme that mirrors Epstein's enterprise almost detail for detail. According to this filing, Trump now faces a $310 million civil suit alleging he was involved in a trafficking venture nearly identical to Epstein's. This lawsuit, filed in late November in Palm Beach County, names Trump both personally and in his official capacity as president. It also lists Elon Musk and Bill Gates, individuals who, according to reports and public comments, have spent time inside Epstein's orbit. The plaintiffs, whose identities have been redacted, claim Trump and others ran an 8-year operation beginning in 2018 that escalated during his administration. The suit even includes unverified accusations that Trump groomed the lead plaintiff, an unnamed minor, starting the same year she was born. The filing also claims that Gates and his foundation served as a cover and intimidation mechanism, allegedly allowing the operation to continue while suppressing complaints. The lawsuit further alleges coordinated assaults and, in a disturbing twist, says the plaintiff's infant daughter was taken from her as retaliation, a pattern the lawsuit argues echoes Epstein's alleged use of custody threats against women who spoke out. On top of that, the plaintiffs claim there were at least 5 attempts to end the lead plaintiff's life between 2023 and this year, through alleged poisoning, supposed vehicular sabotage, and staged accidents. These accusations remain unverified, but their inclusion in a formal filing has raised intense questions. Trump currently faces no criminal charges related to any of this, and continues to deny all wrongdoing. Epstein, of course, died in 2019 after reportedly offed himself in custody while awaiting trial. In this civil case, the plaintiffs want over $310 million in damages, more than $130 million in legal fees, the immediate return of custody of the child, and a jury trial before December 20th. What makes this especially important is that buried in the original Epstein case files was another lawsuit, one that was supposed to target both Trump and Epstein years ago. It never saw daylight. It didn't reach court. And the reason isn't a mystery. Intimidation, pressure, fear. The same tactics that have followed these stories for decades. But the existence of that earlier claim matters. It didn't disappear just because certain media ecosystems refused to acknowledge it. And that's exactly why bringing this conversation back into the light is so crucial right now. Trump has become laser-focused on shutting down anyone connected to Epstein who might speak. He's trying to seal every crack where information could leak. And the most glaring example of that effort is Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman sitting in a prison cell whose knowledge of Epstein's network remains almost entirely sealed off from public view. She should be a central figure. Instead, she's been treated like a footnote. Her silence is priceless to Trump, and he knows it. Congressman Jamie Raskin underscored that very point. And the more we learn, the clearer it becomes why certain people are scrambling to keep this story buried. Ghislaine Maxwell is living in conditions that look less like a prison sentence and more like a luxury retreat, all funded by taxpayers. While most inmates are crammed into tiny cells with the bare minimum, she's reportedly enjoying catered meals, a spacious private room, yoga sessions, outdoor strolls with a puppy, and leisurely time outside under a parasol as if she's unwinding at some upscale resort. And the reason she's being treated like royalty instead of an inmate? Rumors suggest she's sitting on explosive information, the kind of kompromat that could devastate Donald Trump. She isn't the only one either. There are others who supposedly carry the same kind of damaging secrets, people who stay silent, not because they're waiting for political favors, but because they're afraid of the consequences if they speak. Those voices matter. Their stories matter. And the fact that they remain silent says everything about the pressure surrounding this entire saga. The truth doesn't disappear just because powerful people want it buried. Conversations like these have to keep happening, loudly and consistently, because that's the only way the full picture ever sees daylight. And the more light that hits this story, the more impossible it becomes for anyone to silence it.